Hello everyone and welcome to the Christmas Eve Trending in My Life podcast, episode 79. I decided I'd like to share my day with you. So what I did first thing this morning was I was on a train at 8:30 in the morning, heading into central London to do some last minute shopping. On the train, we stopped at a station and I saw a dad with two daughters on the platform, very nicely dressed. And when they got on, they sat on the seats in front of me. So I was on a two-seat, like an airline seat, and they were sat on a four-seat that was in front of me. So I could hear everything they were saying because they were that close to me. Anyway, the dad, it transpired, I could tell from the conversation and what the children said to the dad, that he was going to work and he was dressed in a suit, and it was sort of bring your kids to work day, or it was because it was Christmas Eve and he had to go in. So anyway, that's where they were headed. But it was about 15 to 20 minutes on the train and there was various conversations going on. I did notice that the kids, these were posh kids. Now I say that and you'll understand why in the next few seconds, because the oldest of them was about 7 or 8 and she said to her dad that she was stressed about tonight. And then, yes, she said the word stressed at her age. And she was stressed about having to go to sleep. Waiting for Santa to come, and there was discussions about Santa and how stressed she was about going to sleep. And there was a younger one than that as well, about 5 maybe, and the dad was reassuring her and saying just try and get to sleep, blah blah blah. But it was quite funny that as the journey progressed, they got a little bit more rowdy and they're a little bit more argumentative with each other, these two daughters. And I thought, even though they're posh kids, you could tell by the way they spoke, at the words they used, but they're the same as every other kid because they were bored with the journey and they wanted to get off, they wanted to get moving, and so they started to argue a bit and be a bit louder, and the dad was shushing them, and I thought, it's like worldwide parents' problems, it doesn't matter where you're from or you get the picture. Anyway, we arrived. I was on a train that went into Blackfriars so that I could walk through to Covent Garden. So that's what I did. And I had 2 stores that I wanted to go in that were sort of down in, I'll say it's down in the basement of Covent Garden, but you'll know what I mean. There is an area that's down steps. You can eat down there. There are quite often musicians playing down there, but there's also, or there used to be, some small shops around the sides down there, and there were 2 shops that I wanted to go to, and one of them particularly had some sort of unusual gifts that I was looking for, but when I went down there they'd gone, and it is one of those, and gone like moved away, no more in the space kind of thing. And it is one of those things that those kind of shops you go to when you want a specific gift, and so you don't go all year, so you're not aware of the fact that they've moved. But I was kind of sad about that, but it did give me a chance to see Covent Garden when it was just waking up, really, and there was people walking around, but the shops weren't open. There was a couple of people having coffee, but no more than that. I had checked the opening times of some places that I wanted to go. So I wanted to go into Flying Tiger on Tottenham Court Road, and I cut through from Covent Garden to get there. And sure enough, they were open at 9. They were open by the time I got there, which was great. Flying Tiger is one of those places that it's done a bit like IKEA, where there's one way to get into the store and one way to get out. Same door, but you can't sort of cut across within the store. They're leading you along a path almost, so that you walk past everything before you get out, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. It just depends what you're looking for, how much time you've got, stuff like that. I did get a couple of bits in there that I'd wanted to get, which was good. But outside, I mean, I'd noticed ever since I stepped off the train in central London, it was bitterly cold, and it was the wind that was doing it. It was sort of blowing in your face. But when I got out of Flying Tiger, I was carrying a bag, and I put my receipt just tucked in the top, and the wind whipped it out of my bag, and I watched it, and it was like about 10 foot in the air, dancing in the breeze and gone, and I thought, okay. So I've not got my receipt anymore. Good job, I want these things. And that made me notice there were like dust devil type mini tornado things happening at various places on the ground, with leaves and bits of litter going round and round and round in circles. Now, those bits of litter could well be like my receipt that got taken out of my bag, not necessarily things that had intentionally been dropped on the floor. But yeah, I decided at that point that I would head back to the station, because I'd been walking for about an hour, and it was just so cold. I mean, it is a Christmassy thing for it to be cold, but I'd much rather it was like snowy cold, and this wasn't like that, because there was a proper summer blue sky, that really blue sky up above. But what clouds there were moving very fast because the wind was so strong. And in Central, there's a mixture of tourists and last-minute shoppers. Trains in both directions that I took, there were people with cases getting on the trains, because they must be, they hadn't finished work until Christmas Eve, so they're getting on trains now to travel somewhere for Christmas Day. And when I got back to the station, first of all, I did pass a couple of things on my way that I took photos of for Curious London, and that's a short that I do every so often. And what happens is I see something unusual, I'll take a photo of it, put it in the file, and then it just waits until it builds up to 10 or 12 of them, and then I put it in a short. And they're just odd things that I see around London. And one of the things that I saw was a really unusual door knocker. It was big for one thing, but the shape of it was just really unusual, and you'll see that when I eventually put that short out. And I also saw street art of Princess Diana as Mary Poppins, which I'd not seen before, and I took a photo of that, which again, that will go in the next street art short that I put out. So anyway, I was on the train coming back home, but I couldn't get the same route. Trains are running different schedules because it's Christmas, and whilst I went in one direction, I had to come out in a different direction and then change trains part way and walk to another station. When the train coming back out it got held at a red signal when we were on a railway bridge, and the wind, it wasn't shaking the train, but you could hear it going whoo, whoo, as it whooshed around the train. And I thought, yep, that wind is really strong out there. And then there was this family of 6 got on the train at a station, and 4 of them were adults. And they just could not decide where to sit. And they were clearly looking for a set of 4 seats together, and where there was 2 free at the side or in front or behind that they could have. But I've never seen such indecisive people. They walked up and down the carriage that I was in about 3 times before they eventually settled. And they were only going 2 stops. It was like, seriously. But maybe they don't normally get on trains, because quite often people are travelling by train to do their shopping for Christmas when normally they wouldn't, but they don't want to drive or whatever because of the crowds, and there was crowds. I got home And when I got home, I was saying to myself, oh, great, that's me finished for Christmas Eve. And as I turned into the gateway, I noticed the lid had gone off one of my bins. And there are two dustbin bins at the house we're in, and one of them, we brought that dustbin with us because we'd bought it at the old house, and we knew we needed two bins. And the one that was originally with the house had a lid that didn't have any fastenings. It was just placed on top of the bin, and it had gone. And the problem with that is, I completely understood because of the force of the wind and the fact that it wasn't locked into place. It had just been blown off. But the problem with that is we get foxes in the area, and they will go into an open bin and they will tear apart the black bags and just scatter rubbish all down the street. So you just don't want that to happen. And anyway, I dropped my bags off, walked up and down the street, but there was no sign of it. And considering how strong the wind was, I thought it could be streets away by now. And that my receipt flying high in the air in Central, that came to mind. And I thought, the wind is so strong, it could easily have taken a bin lid halfway down the street and then later taken it even further in other directions, who knows. But yeah, I did a full search of the area trying to find it, and I couldn't. Then we Googled the nearest hardware store, and that involved me going into our nearest town. And I walked down, and I had to cut through the mall. And as I cut through Marks and Spencer's, it was like, oh, good grief, am I glad that I've not got to stand in that enormous queue of people lined up waiting to pay. And the store itself was so full of people. And I was just cutting through to get to this little hardware store. But unfortunately, when I got there, it had said online they do bin lids, but the kind of bin lids they do fitted on top of plastic square tubs for storing things in your house or in your garage, not bins as in rubbish bin lids. So my bin outside still hasn't got a lid on it, but there's not a lot I can do at the moment. I can order one online, but it's because it's Christmas. We're now on Wednesday. It wouldn't be here till Saturday. So that's where I am with that. But it was a bit of a pain to come back and then have to go out again, because I definitely didn't want to go out again. But once that was... when I was tearing off to try and get it, I was very much like, this is a problem, this needs to be solved now, what made me go to try and do it. But by the time I trudged all the way back again, because I was walking, I was like, it'll have to do, sort it out after Christmas kind of thing. And our bin collection day is normally Thursday, but because of Christmas it's going to be Saturday. So we need to try and keep that to a minimum until after then. So a problem to be solved in the future. So this was my Christmas Eve. Other than that, I've been chilling. I just watched an episode of Jet Lag, which has released a new series, not sponsored. A plug just because I really like the show. And it's hide and seek across the UK. And I love their shows that are filmed all over the world doing different games that are really great. So that's been a lovely end to my afternoon. Currently we have a beautifully wrapped presents with bows under the tree. I didn't do the beautifully wrapped presents. Mine aren't quite so beautifully wrapped. More sort of hurriedly wrapped with no bows on. But yeah, they're under the tree ready for us to open tomorrow. As a family, we used to open them all on Christmas morning when we got up, and then we'd have a Christmas breakfast. But that's not what we've done in recent years. In recent years, we like to open a few gifts at a time so that the fun of Christmas lasts for the whole day long. When we do that on birthdays as well, and we really like that. I don't know whether you've ever tried it or not, but it means that everything is not over and you feel a little bit flat because, oh, it's over and done that bit of Christmas. But no, we like to open them a little bit at a time. So yeah, we might open like 3 first thing, and then sort of an hour later open 1, and then at lunchtime maybe open 3, and then we do like that, and yeah, it makes it last throughout the day. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying your Christmas Eve. I'd like to say a big thank you for everyone who's subscribed to the channel this year and everyone that's viewed. Just thank you very much for taking the time to watch or listen to what I've been doing this year. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and that you're enjoying your Christmas Eve too. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend and come back next time. Bye for now.